In the previous video, we implemented a basic jump system for our character. But right now, the player can only jump once, and after that, we must touch the ground before jumping again. In many platformer games, the player can actually jump again while in the air. So in this video, we are going to implement a simple and clean double jump system in Unity for our 2D character. And this is the final result we are going to build. Our character can jump once from the ground and then jump one more time in the air. But it will not allow a third jump. Let's see how we can implement this step by step. To implement this system, we need to keep track how many times the player has jumped. So first, let's define an integer variable called maximum jump count. This variable defines the maximum number of jumps allowed. Since we want a double jump, we set this value to 2. Next, we create another integer variable called jumpCount. This variable keeps track of how many times the player has already jumped. So, when the player jumps for first time, this value becomes 1, and when the player jumps again in the air, it becomes 2. Finally, we create a variable called was grounded. This variable helps us detect when the player actually lands on the ground, so we can reset the jump count correctly. Now, let's go to the update function and update our ground detection logic. First, we already checking if the player is touching the ground using OverlapCircle, and we store that result in is grounded. So we already know whether the player is on the ground or in the air. Now, instead of resetting the jump count every frame, we only reset it when the player actually lands. We do this by comparing the previous frame and the current frame. If the player was in the air before and is grounded now, it means the player has just landed. So at that moment, we reset the jump count back to 0. Finally, we update was grounded, so it stored the current state for the next frame. Now, let's move to the onJump function. Previously, our jump system only allowed jumping when is grounded was true. But for a double jump, we want the player to be able to jump even while in the air. So, instead of checking if is grounded, we check if jump count less than max jump count. This condition simply means the player can jump as long as the number of jumps is less than the maximum allowed jumps. Now, each time the player jumps, we increase jump count. And then, before applying the jump force, we reset the vertical velocity to 0. This helps ensure the jump height remains consistent even if the player is falling. Then, we apply the jump force to move the player upward. Now, let's save the script and test in the game. As you can see, the player can now jump twice, but it will not allow a third jump. If we look at the inspector, we can actually see how this system works. When the player jumps for the first time, jump count becomes 1. When we jump again in the air, it becomes 2. And now, the system will not allow another jump, because we have reached the maximum jump count. When the player lands on the ground, jump count reset to 0, and the player can jump again. And that's how we can implement a clean double jump system for our 2D character in Unity. If you found this tutorial helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more Unity game development tutorials. In the next video, we will continue improving our controller by implementing a dash functionality which will make our movement feel much more responsive and dynamic. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.